I have a comic book unboxing that you've never seen before. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video, yes, you've never seen it before, I'm going to unbox 3 orders in a single video, and it's not all that super exciting or super different from my other unboxing videos, but what I had found is I'd been accumulating quite a few orders here and just wanted to open up a few that I had been accumulating quite a few orders here that I hadn't opened, and I wanted to open up a few at a time. And it really kind of got me thinking as far as why some of these orders sit around and I don't immediately open. I certainly, full transparency, I prefer to wait and create some content around the unboxing, so that's part of it. But the other part of it is just that sometimes either the interest sort of falls off, or I've already fulfilled this desire to collect or hunt comics, and it's already sort of emotionally out of my system, so to speak. And what I mean by that is a lot of times it's the thrill of the hunt for comics that really motivates me and drives me to make purchases and acquire books. And while I still love opening the order and grading the books, there's part of me that almost feels like my job is done. I've taken possession of the comic book and it's here. It's in my possession. I own the book, and I just feel like now that I have essentially kind of done the hard part, which is find the comic, make sure that it is something that I want to acquire, make sure that it has some value, and once that part is done, then my work is kind of done. But it's not. The next part really is the unboxing. It's the grading. It's the cataloging. It's getting into the system. It's deciding, do I want to get a book graded? Do I want to press it out? And just how do I want to sort of formally enter it into my collection? And then make that sort of short or long-term decision as far as what I want to do with the book. But it is interesting to me as I kind of look at some of these unopened orders. The majority of them are new books, and I think that this is something else that I've been thinking about quite a bit, is what are the typical orders that I leave sitting around, and what are the orders that I sort of open up right away and tear through. And the brand new comic book orders, those are the orders I typically open last. The orders that I kind of leave sitting around after that are typically like eBay orders for some reason. I don't know why. And then any other orders that I either win at auction, like recently from Hip Comic, my orders from Mile High, Atomic Avenue, those are the orders I typically open first, because those are the orders that contain the Bronze and Copper Age books that I'm currently hunting. So I think it really kind of depends on what my current focus is. But since I'm always sort of looking for good deals across all eras and all comic book types, I do feel like I'm ordering across all of those categories or sources or what have you. But then it's like once all of the orders sort of arrive, it's like, what am I into in the moment? Am I into finding Copper Age books with some defects and trying to press them? Then I'll open that order first. It's just kind of it's kind of a mood, and I think about this a lot. Where to me, comic books are a mood. It kind of depends. Like, are you into speculation? Did you just get out of a movie theater and you really enjoyed the film, or you just watched an episode on Disney Plus and you want to try and track a character down, or you're looking for a great independent story to read and you got maybe a set of the first 6 issues and you want to read them. It really is, for me, kind of a mood. It depends on what I'm looking for. It depends on what I want to do. There are times where I want to take breaks from comic books. Believe me, I definitely realize, like, when I'm ordering too much and I want to take a break from ordering, and when orders start to pile up, there are times where I want to dig in and really start to organize and sort. And then there are times where I look at the pile and I don't want to deal with those comics right now. And I get this way a lot around art in general. I would say that my appreciation for comic books is definitely the collectability and the art, sort of the creative process around the creation of characters and the story. Certainly great cover art. A lot of that plays into why I love comic books. And sort of the creative side in me, if you're thinking about things like photography, sketching, drawing, painting, things like that. I think a lot of that sort of bleeds into the hobby for me, where it really kind of depends on how I'm feeling. And, I feel like you can sort of normalize the hobby if you're really looking at it just from a monetary perspective. Then you're just kind of looking at dollar signs and value, and then all comics kind of become equal at that point in terms of your level of interest. But for me, it's really just around my creative mood, my ability to appreciate a good book, certainly the my desires to systematically catalog and curate my collection and so forth. So I'm in a mood right now, and I'm in the mood to open up 3 orders. They're all relatively small, about 5 or 6 comics in each order. So I'm going to tear through the unboxing and get through each order. And then what I'd like to do is kind of figure out which of the 3 were the either like the most interesting, maybe not necessarily most valuable, but which one was maybe the most intelligent pickup of the 3. Not that they really need to be compared to one another, but uh, they're they're the same because they're comic books, but the order, the details of the order, how they were shipped, how much did shipping cost, did I get free shipping, all of those things I think need to be compared. And it's kind of nice, instead of going one unboxing at a time and comparing that, I can do 3 here at once and compare those all together and just kind of reflect on maybe the details of the order and see if it still makes sense here in late 2022. So let's get to this triple unboxing and see what comics I picked up. Okay, here we go. Here are the 3 orders that I'm going to unbox. We've got 2 priority mail envelopes and then 1 media mail, kind of homegrown box here that I'm going to tear through. And I realized I bought this X-Acto knife to make window bags, but haven't been using them for unboxing. And I think it's fitting that the brand is Excel. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this to unpack these 3 orders. Okay, I'm in. Got through all 3 of those. Fairly painless, very straightforward packing. And so this first order that I'm going to open up, this is from Atomic Avenue. It is from a seller I've never ordered from before, so this will be a little interesting for me just to see what this seller's process is, but pretty nice bubble wrap around these books here. And let's see what we got. First book here is Captain Marvel 31. Man, I love covers like this. I mean, so many characters. Got the 20-cent cover, so loving that. And all of these books were purchased from this seller in near mint. So that was the sort of described condition. I can already see a pretty significant color break right in here by the staple coming across Drax here. And one right here by Cap. So is it near mint? I don't know. I'm hoping that that is just a color break and not a tear up there. I'm hoping the page does not come off. I'm actually quite afraid to open this one up and see that, but wanted to take a chance. Again, listed near mint. Sometimes it's too good to be true. So these orders kind of prove that out, that yes, it is too good to be true. And then occasionally the grading is accurate, but again, most of these sellers just don't know how to grade, and it's just unfortunate. But it's possible that if those are the only 2 color breaks, and maybe that's not too bad, maybe it is a 9.4, but typically then you flip it over and it's dirty and other things, then you start getting into the 8.5 to 9.2 sort of range. So that's Captain Marvel 31. Still great looking book, great for the age. I sound like I'm complaining, like to have a book preserved like this coming from the early 70s is very special. So I'm happy to get it. Just again, my expectations for near mint are a little bit higher. That's okay. The next sequence of books, the next 4 actually, they're all Swamp Thing. So again, looking at a specific cover price, a specific era. This is Swamp Thing number 8. I always personally get my Swamp Things, my Man Things confused. So when I'm hunting for my Man Thing, sometimes I find my Swamp Thing and it gets a little messy. But this book in particular was really tough. All of these darker elements made this book a really tough book in high grade. And when I saw it advertised as near mint, I'm like, I'm going to take a shot. So it is suffering from just a slight miswrap, which, again, that might be a blessing here. Same as the Captain Marvel, just a little bit of a spine tick around the top and bottom of that staple. And then I noticed some softening down here. So if that is the extent of the damage, it could be a 9.4. A little bit of color breaking there too, but it looks like a very, very strong copy. So not bad, probably worth the gamble. Certainly high grade, I would say, if that's all we're looking for. And all of these Swamp Things, I believe, have that grade 20-cent cover. Next one is Swamp Thing number 12. And sorry about the nudity there, but I do love these covers where the characters are either inside the mouth of a creature or fighting a creature with the mouth open. And they're always just like, hey, I'm here to do my thing, no big deal. And the creature's freaking out trying to eat the character or the superhero or whatever. And I always love those. But this one is really, really terribly miswrapped. So, that what ends up happening with that is I don't really think that those are particularly pleasing to the eye. But if the back cover is maybe picking up some dirt with age, then a lot of times it rolls around into the front too. And then you start to get dirt and stuff on the spine, and then that makes it harder to clean because now you're pressing into the spine, and then you're hoping that whatever damage you're doing to clean, if you're dry cleaning with this in eraser, then you're like, oh, I'll press all that out later, and it becomes kind of a mess. But structurally, the book looks great. The colors look very good. I mean, these bags and boards are pretty soft and kind of murky, so replacing these with a fresh bag and board would also help the presentation of this book. But all in all, looks to be in the realm of possibility that it could be not near mint. Let's put it that way. Another one, Swamp Thing 13. Now this one is not near mint for sure. I can already see several color breaks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8. Somewhere between 6 to 8 spine ticks in general. So you're probably already kind of starting backwards from a 9.0 and getting worse. This is a absolutely fantastic cover. I love this kind of rising from the grave here. These covers are just amazing, and still only 20 cents. The last book in this order from Bear Collectibles, I believe is the seller's name. This is Swamp Thing 14. I don't think this counts as an Amazing Fantasy 15 homage cover, but close, or maybe I can put that in the eBay description and I'll be automatically correct about it. Again, not a near mint copy. This one is, again, just at first glance, probably the worst of the bunch. We have a impact crunch down here, some dirt near the staple, and then just other color breaking spine ticks, folds, creases along the spine. So that's unfortunate. And if we stay to the end, I'll show you what I paid for these and compare it to fair market value. But all in all, like if you, what I love about comic books is like if you take a step back, like stand far away, maybe close one eye, just give them a nice once over. Don't look too close. These are absolutely stunning, gorgeous Bronze Age books. So that was the first order from Bear Collectibles on Atomic Avenue. So I'm going to set these aside. And then I'm going to flip to the eBay order. And that was the sort of homegrown makeshift cardboard box that was also sent media mail. So I love that. I got charged some ridiculous amount. It was like 10 or 11 bucks plus tax. And then they ship media mail. Again, if you're trying to make a few dollars on shipping as a comic book seller, best of luck to you. Now, this order contained the same book, and it was a 5-book lot of X-Men Classic number 79. Now, this is either Classic X-Men or X-Men Classic. I still feel like it's Classic X-Men. It's just the numbers continue, but at some point they flipped because they thought if they had X-Men in the title, then that would look better. But it's like, are you trying to fool people, or are you trying to create a reprint with a fantastic new cover on the reprint? Just call it Classic X-Men. So that those sorts of things bother me, like when they do the reboots and everything starts over at issue 1. It's like, just stick with Classic X-Men. But I think technically it is X-Men Classic 79. And the reason I bought it is for the Jean Grey Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix Adam Hughes cover. Now, he did a run of covers in X-Men Classic around this issue, and this was one of my favorites, and I wanted to grab all 5 books. In the photo of the listing, these really look to be in tip-top shape. Again, listed as near mint, hoping that one or more of these pop in a 9.8, where I'd love to have this displayed. I have several X-Men books with Phoenix on the cover. Got one right up there behind me on this side. One of my all-time favorite characters, favorite X-Men, and love the Adam Hughes cover. It's one of those where, looking at reprints like Marvel Tales, looking for those McFarlane covers, X-Men Classic, looking for the Hughes covers. There are times where these artists will sort of dip into some of these titles that maybe aren't as popular, and they'll do a run of 5 or 6 covers, and then that run becomes popular amongst those collectors of that artist. But if you're not chasing the artist per se, maybe sometimes you just sort of forget about it or you don't really notice. But everybody loves Adam Hughes these days, and has for quite a while. This was one of my favorite covers that he did, especially where he's not doing a ton of X-Men work. All right, let me put these aside and get to the final order. All right, still working through tons of Scotch tape on this order. It feels like almost like I'm performing surgery or something to try and get these books free. I think we're good now. Some are still stuck here on the side. It's off. Okay, I think I finally got it. Like, seriously, just the Scotch tape has got to stop. All right, let's get to it. This is the last order. Let me start off by saying that I typically build orders around a book. I built this order around a book that was canceled, and I was really bummed because that was the main book in the order. And then what I decided to do was sort of maybe do a quick lookup and see what other books the seller had for sale, to make the order a little bit more full. And these are the books I decided to add to that order. Again, unfortunately, the main book was canceled. So the first book I picked up in this order is Iron Man 284. Again, all of these books too were selected because they were listed in near mint. Not the greatest Iron Man cover ever, but if you do look in the shadows, we've got War Machine lurking in the background. So a very early War Machine appearance in Iron Man. You can, in the early issue 280s is where War Machine starts to come into play, and there's some different first appearances. There's first cover, there's first Tony Stark in the armor, first Rhodey in the armor. So the technical first appearance of War Machine gets a little confusing at times, but again, one of the early War Machine appearances here. I don't think this counts as a cover appearance, but there he is nonetheless. Next book is Marvel 2-in-1 number 63. This was a value pick for me that I put out there quite a while ago. And when I saw that this seller had this book available, I kind of thought about the post and was like, I recognized that great cover. And when I was doing the research on it, realized this was a George Perez cover. And we've got Warlock coming back here, rising up through the grave. And these Marvel 2-in-1s, it's the Thing and somebody else. And Marvel Team Up is Spider-Man and somebody else. And this bag is horrible. These are one of these old comic book bags that's like almost like soft. It's like soft and dirty where you're almost, I don't know, part of the bag is coming off in your hand. It's so old. So I cannot wait to put these in brand new bags and boards. It's very, very therapeutic for both me and the comic book. So hard for me to tell really what shape this is in. I do see a little bit of softening there in the corner. Spine looks okay, but it could be just discolored. It could be the bag, and I swear, like, sometimes there's stuff coming off the bag that makes me have trouble breathing. It's so ugly. So I'll put this one aside. But what I love about it, just the Perez cover is very, very cool. Lots of great colors used in this one. Next up is Sandman 31. It was recently announced that the Sandman would be getting a second season. And what I remember from this first season, right before things really got rolling with the announcement and ultimately the release of the first season, was the speculation around which storylines were going to be included in the first season. And just sort of going in order, issue number, I'm starting to look at sort of issues between 15 and 40 and trying to look at storylines there that they may pick up from. It's a lot of fun to watch the episode, go back, read the comic, or read the comic and then watch the episode in any order. Enjoy reading the comic while you watch. But anyway, this one, there was I think it's the Distant Mirrors storyline had these white background covers with minimal color, and it will pick up things like color rub and dirt just like this one does. So this one is probably far from near mint. Just looking at that alone, it's probably a 9. So that's unfortunate. But still going after a significant run of Sandman, so I wanted to add issue 31 to that run. Next couple books are Wonder Woman books. This is Wonder Woman 66, and kind of what I was talking about with the Adam Hughes X-Men Classic books, that there's also not just reprints. There are many, almost countless examples of memorable cover artist runs on books, and the Brian Bolland run on Wonder Woman is certainly awesome, and I've been starting to look at that specific run of Wonder Woman to collect. Unfortunately, this already has a pretty significant finger bend or finger jam that cover's peeling back, so I'd have to get in there and see if I can push it out. But that probably breaks color right there. Color breaks on the side here, so kind of a bummer. I know it mixes in with the space background, but there are right in here some color breaks, so that's too bad. Looks okay otherwise, but the color breaks are always what get me, because there's nothing you can do about that in terms of trying to fix it up. It just is what it is. I still love the cover. Really neat seeing Diana get dressed up here to go into space in her astronaut outfit. And again, there's a great stretch of Brian Bolland Wonder Woman covers. Some are absolutely iconic and have been homaged. This one has not been homaged in particular that I know of. So I'm, again, just kind of collecting around those sort of more well-known or recognized covers. And then the last one, again, same sort of story. This is Wonder Woman 164. And this is part of the run of Wonder Woman covers that Adam Hughes did. Adam Hughes, the artist that also did the cover of that X-Men Classic issue that I picked up in the lot. This is Gods of Gotham, part 1 of 4, crossover with Batman, a Batman-related story. You know, and the argument is, well, there are certain Hughes covers in this Wonder Woman run that are better than others. And it's like, if you're an Adam Hughes fan, you're collecting all of them. And I'm just going to give this one a quick once over. Condition on this looks to be pretty good. So maybe this one maybe I'll luck out and finally get the 9.8 candidate out of this one. We'll see. Need to get these out, grade them, and put fresh bag and boards on them. The bags and boards on all of these are just, they're so like, there's just a film or level of filth on them that's just keep preventing me from grading these. And so I am looking forward to opening these up and putting a more accurate grade on this one. But this one looks like it has some potential. I can just tell from the way it looks. Structurally, it looks pretty good. Corners are sharp, so maybe I lucked out with this one. That last order, I don't know what to say in terms of the condition. I was probably a little bit disappointed, I would say. Certainly just the way, you could just tell the way the books are kept, and that's something else that, as I'm buying from sellers, I can just see how are the books treated and preserved over time. And the bags and boards are all different and quite random. The conditions are all over the place. There's probably a couple of near books in here, and there's certainly several that are not. So, am I going to order from the seller going forward? This is the kind of the learning process that I go through. And I certainly also want to look at the numbers, because the numbers are important to make sure that I'm making smart decisions with my money. So let's look at these 3 orders, compare the books and the cost of the books against fair market value, and see if they have any potential value if I were to get them graded. All right, here are those 3 orders that I placed, where you can see when I ordered them and how much I paid for them. I'm just going to kind of go in order here as I data enter them into my collection ledger here. The first one was from Gare Bear Collectibles on Atomic Avenue. This order was placed on September 7th, 2022. I spent $96.60 on these 5 books, and there was no shipping and no tax. So when I add the 0 amount across the total cost, everything adds up to 96.60. And then if I compare column U to column Z to see if I were able to add any value, I could see that I added $50.40 of value. However, I think it's a little misleading. Swamp Thing 14, for whatever reason, had a significant sale of this book in near mint, but it was from 2019. There has not been a reported sale, according to cover price, since then of this book raw in near mint. And I believe that a very fine fair market values is kind of in line with the other books, maybe around sort of the $10 to $12 range. I'm going to leave it because I need to keep my process consistent. But like, was this really the best order, or the order that won, that brought the most value in my collection? That kind of remains to be seen. I'd have to list Swamp Thing 14 right now as near mint and see what kind of price it would get on eBay. And then that sale would probably register by cover price, and I'd be influencing the market. So the point is, if you kind of roll it back and maybe make it about a $10 to $15 book, then it kind of becomes a break-even type of order situation. I really don't intend to flip these books anyway, so that this whole like raw value add doesn't really matter to me. It only matters if down the road I wanted to sort of liquidate a short box or something like that, and I was going through books and I was listing them, or I just put them all up for auction. It helps me because I would say, okay, in this case, in theory, I would kind of get my money back in a way, or get close to it, if I were letting these books all go at fair market value. So that there's part of my mindset there that's like, it's a little bit of, I guess, sort of collection insurance, but it's not my intent to buy the raw books and flip them as is. It's really more around preservation, pressing, grading, and so forth. Okay, so I won't make that giant explanation for each of these orders. We can just kind of go through them one at a time. The next one, this was the Atomic Avenue from T-Wolf 0713. This one was probably just, it had the most disappointing vibe to me. But then I'm looking at the numbers, and an almost $25 value add for these books raw. That Marvel 2-in-1 is interesting. It's a $25 book if you can get it in near mint. I don't know if that one was near mint, because it was just a horrible and disgusting bag that the comic was in, so I'd have to replace it. But it only cost me $12.59 to acquire. This order was tough because it cost $10.55 to ship. So what ended up happening is I probably broke a threshold on Atomic Avenue where I had ordered 6 books, and it pushed me into the sort of the $10 shipping range. And then they canceled the book, but I got charged the shipping for 5 books. I don't really know or understand how all of that works. And then tax on top of that, because I'm in California, and ended up spending almost an additional $13 just on those 5 books. So the cost got distributed across those 5 books. So where I thought these were pretty good deals, now I'm paying an additional $2.50 per book just to have them shipped to me. And then when I'm comparing it to the fair market value by cover price, obviously the raw value, it kind of drops from there because of those additional fees. So there was a lot for me to be disappointed in myself and the order on that one. And again, the real thought for me was, let me sort of hit the home run with the one book that was canceled. By the way, it was Conan 241. That's that McFarlane cover of Conan, kind of much later in the series. And it's something I always just keep my eye on. This seller had it. I thought I got it at a good price. The seller claimed that it was out of stock, and that was the order that I was left with. So a $46.16 total order on that one. Again, not a bad selection of books. That Hughes Wonder Woman has some potential there. I spent $10.59 on that one. It's a $13 book raw. So just from a numbers game, it looks to be pretty good. Like I said, almost a $25 value add. The last order was X-Men Classic 79. This one, too, I had to pay $10.95 in shipping and almost $5 in tax to have this order sent via media mail, an order I placed back in April of 2022. It cost me $67.89 for that 5 comic book lot, and even describing it and saying it out loud, it's a little painful here in December of 2022, because I'm not saying that 5 book lots of this book are just all over the place, but I could probably buy a couple of loose issues here and there in high grade for a lot less. This feels more to me like a $5 book. Cover price says it's 9, but I think that, maybe $5 to $10 is probably more realistic here if you were interested in that book. Again, still love the book. I just think I just overpaid a little bit, and I think the numbers are telling me that. Fair market value on this is $9. The cost to acquire each book once you add shipping and tax is $13.58 a piece. And we're getting to the point where I probably paid at least double, or if not triple, for each book, which then added up times 5 is hard for me to stomach. So, if I'm asking you which of these orders look the best, which of the 3 were the smartest pickups, I mean, I don't really think it's a debate. I think the X-Men Classic was probably the worst decision. Then, based on the condition, I'm thinking the T-Wolf order is probably the second worst, and I'm kind of going through these in reverse from worst to best, which is kind of weird, but it works for me. And then the Gare Bear collectibles, I thought that those books have a lot of potential. I love the age, and so I feel like even though the numbers kind of work out to a break even, it maybe feels more like a Mile High order that I would place, where it's no shipping, no tax. Really, really great older Bronze Age book, so I'm excited about that one. This is kind of what I was saying, is where comic books are a mood. Like my mood and where I'm at right now with the hobby, like that's an order I'm excited about. The other Atomic order looks kind of random, and then this one was like, what was I doing? Was I just sort of obsessed with Phoenix at the time? I don't know. I don't remember, but let's quickly look to see if I were to get these books graded, what is the potential here for this order if we were to get them graded. So I want to put in what my grade would be. Again, assuming all of these are near mint, because that's the definition of near mint, or NM. So I'm just going to quickly fill this in, and then we can look at the entire set of these 3 orders all together. And very quickly, we can see that the 5 X-Men Classic have no value in a 9.4. Surprisingly, the Brian Bolland book from 1992, I was not able to get any data on a 9.4 on that one either. The most valuable 9.4s, again, why I'm excited about this is the potential. I love the potential in comics and in comic book values and grading and so forth. That's one of my motivators and drivers when I'm acquiring books. And so I set up all of my analysis to play into potential, and $146 for that Captain Marvel 31 in a 9.4. And Swamp Thing, all the Swamp Thing books have really, really nice value, from $66 for number 12 all the way up to $135 for number 8. So lots and lots of really nice potential value there in that first order. The second order, again, randomness all over the place. Marvel Toon 163, $42 and a 9.4. And again, that was one of the reasons I made this a value pick, is because it has that safety net kind of built into it, that, hey, if it doesn't work out, you didn't score the 9.8, or you didn't even get a 9.6 out of it, and you missed some things, and it ends up being a 9.4 in that near mint, true near mint grade, then you know what? It's kind of a money back situation if for some reason you still wanted to get that book graded. So it's not a loss, but not a gain either. And those are the kind of books that I really focus on because of that, what I call that insurance. It's basically, in my calculation, it helps keep your risk low, right? So an example would be if Wonder Woman 66 were available and you saw that in a 9.8, and we're going to look at the 9.8 values here in a second, but if in a 9.8 it was selling for $100, but a 9.4 it's not selling, it's no value, you wouldn't want to invest in that book unless you were absolutely certain that raw copy in your hands was in fact a 9.8. But because this one didn't have a lot of value, then I was only willing to spend $5, $6, $7 on it. All right, so those are the 9.4s. Let's see what all of these orders had from a max out ceiling perspective. This is always fun for me. I know that all of these books are not a 9.8, but I like to do this anyway because I love seeing the potential values of these books as collectibles in high grade as possible. And the X-Men Classic, thank goodness, has value in a 9.8. It's $78.50. So now looking at that order one more time, it doesn't look so bad if those are the true grades. And I know you can make the case, well, if every order had 9.8s, they'd look great. But for this one in particular, it definitely, from the photos on eBay, they looked like they had 9.8 potential in the photos. And then that's what led me to believe or justify the purchase. I'm really reaching right now. I know that. But, at $13.58 per book, if I were to get the book graded after shipping and grading fees and so on, it could be a nice $30 gain for each of those. Times 5 is $150. It's not a lot, but maybe I score 9.8s, I keep one, I sell the rest, and everything's paid for. So that was, again, the logic in that order. Still love the book, still love the Adam Hughes Phoenix cover. I just want to get at least one 9.8 and get it up on the wall. And just for whatever reason didn't want to spend $78.50 on a 9.8, so I spent $78.50 to get 5 books raw and cross my fingers. Makes total sense. So that one still, that's, to me, I'm most disappointed in myself in that one, but still, it's fun to kind of go through the numbers like this. I love it. So let's go again, going backwards. The sort of order I'm iffy on. Marvel 2-in-1, $455 for that one in a 9.8. I don't know if I truly believe that is current, that is accurate. That could be based on older sales in a different time in a different market. I do know that book's not a 9.8. I see some softening on a corner. Maybe it maxes at 9.6, but still, this was why I wanted to pick that one up, was because it had a really, really high ceiling in a 9.8 and some of that low risk insurance in a 9.4 value as well. Sandman 31, $273 in a 9.8. That also seems a little extreme. It could be because the book is all white and kind of it's picking up the dirt and the color breaks and the color rub that I talked about. So it's possible that that's playing into the value. More realistically, is something like this. This is something I would expect to see, is that Wonder Woman 164 Adam Hughes cover, $80 in a 9.8. It cost me $10.59 to acquire, so it has the potential of a nice $36.72 value add if I were to get that book graded. That's kind of, I would say, which is typical. I think that if you had that in a 9.8 slab, even today, in today's market where there are fewer buyers, I think that because it's Adam Hughes, I think that you could see a potential sale of somewhere in the $60 to $90 range for a book like that for an Adam Hughes collector. The other two books, $56 a piece, basically. Really not much value added there. But overall, again, if the 2-in-1 63 and the Sandman 31 were to pop, which unfortunately those two really aren't going to, then this order would, again, be quite significant. The first order is the one that I keep looking at as I'm talking, and that one looks to be, again, the most fun. Swamp Thing 14, weird. Maybe this book doesn't get graded very often. The 9.8 value fell off. Let me see if there was anything in 9.6 even. $85 in a 9.6. Okay, so maybe a 9.8 is somewhere in the 150 to 250 type range. So I'm just going to leave that 9.6 for a second. This one has a total order potential of $1,800. So fantastic. It cost me $96.60 to acquire, and really, really great value. Swamp Thing 8 in a 9.8, $630. 12 at $350 and 13 at $180, and maybe you just guessed that 14 also would be around the same price, around $180, maybe $160. So really, really great value there. And the big one, Captain Marvel 31 in a 9.8 is $820. It was a $30 gamble for me. I can't wait to grade that one myself and really see if it has the potential maybe to be cleaned up a little bit and get into the 9.8 space. But if not, then I'll take it as a 9.4. Again, great early bronze, high grade book. So I won't go through the 3 orders again and ask for your opinion. I hope that we're kind of the same opinion, that the 5 book lot probably overpaid for that one. The second order, honestly, was just sort of boring. There wasn't much in there. I'm hoping that Wonder Woman 164, the Adam Hughes Wonder Woman there, I hope that one ends up panning out, because that would be a really, really nice, collectible, and also, I think, ultimately desirable book amongst collectors. And I was hoping the same with the Brian Bolland Wonder Woman as well, but that one, I think, condition-wise, is not going to work out. But the order, I mean, if the Conan 241 was in there, then I'm a little bit more excited, because that is a book that I'm chasing. So it would be like, well, I got that one, so the rest don't kind of matter as much, or maybe that one would have balanced out the order. But from a pure numbers perspective, if I'm blind to sort of my emotions, or I turn them off and I'm just more robotic and analytical, that one looks to be a pretty decent order. It's just the comics themselves, they're not as exciting because the potential for me is not there. And I think that order of Swamp Thing and Captain Marvel 31, it's exciting to me because it does have a lot of great potential if those books ended up being in a high grade. So love to get your feedback. Let me know if you disagree, or if you think that 5-book lot of X-Men Classic really was a great pickup. I think it would have been a great pickup had I spent maybe half as much as I did. But please leave a comment. Love your feedback. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.